Good afternoon everybody, and a warm welcome to Wild Earth this afternoon. And it is a very warm afternoon considering what we had this morning. You can see blue skies and very little cloud. And welcome on board Wendy this afternoon. It's great to have you with us. My name's Tara, and on camera this afternoon we have Brian and the ninja thumb. Here he goes. And see how many times he pops up this afternoon. I have a feeling he's going to be making a reappearance. See if you can catch him. Pete's also in final control, and I'm very excited to get back out there and see what we can go and find. Some of you may have missed the drive this morning. We had a baby hyena at the den, so I'm hoping we can make a turn there this afternoon when it cools off a little bit, and the baby might make a reappearance, which I'm very excited about. It's tiny, it's about this big. Beautiful. But we also bumped into an elephant just after we stopped drive. So I'm hoping we might have some luck with him as well. He headed down towards Treehouse Dam, and it is very warm, so I'm hoping we'll have some success, maybe with some elephants drinking or bathing. So let's go down, see what's around there, and then I think we'll make our way up towards Buffles Hook Cut Line and have another wander around Vubu, maybe that area, just to see if there's any tracks from the leopard that we had yesterday. There was not really many tracks this morning, so maybe something's been moving around. First thing this morning it was very cool, so we'll see how we go, but we'll see what the newspaper has on offer as we go around, and maybe one or two dung quizzes as well. So let's jump aboard and see what the future holds for us. Now if you are joining us for the first time, we are live from South Africa here at Djuma Game Reserve in the world famous Sabi Sands, and believe me, anything goes, anything is possible. We've had some fantastic sightings over the years, and I'm hoping maybe today would be one of those days we get something, just something rare and interesting, but every day provides something different, and that is the beauty of the bush. It's still a little bit on the warm side, but as the afternoon progresses, obviously it's going to get a lot cooler. But we may be lucky. We haven't seen giraffes yet. When was the last time you guys saw a giraffe?
A couple days ago.
Okay. Whereabouts were they? Were they up this side?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have a look around Zoe's and Rebecca's. It'd be nice to see if there are any giraffes still around there. Saw one or two tracks this morning, but there wasn't any fresh tracks around, and they can cover quite a distance. It'd be nice to catch up with them. They tend to be out and about even in the heat. Say elephants and other thick-skinned animals like to wallow in the mud this time of day, and maybe even hyenas. We have had hyenas in a little mud wallow on occasion when it's been extremely warm. Trying their best just to cool off a little bit. Good afternoon, any stations out on Game Drive, Wild Earth Mobile? Good afternoon, Ephraim. I'm just getting mobile myself. Oh, that breeze is nice.
It's cooking out there.
It is. Oh, it's lacquer. So nice to feel the heat. Oh, we do have some elephant tracks going both directions. And if you do have any questions while we're driving around this afternoon, then do send them through to questions@WildEarthTV, or if you'd like to, post them on Twitter or post any answers on Twitter. We've got hashtag Safari Live, because we are live from the African bush. So wherever you are in the world, you can tune in, have your breakfast or have your evening coffee and join us here on safari. Listen out for any alarm calls this afternoon. Let's say, oh, hello. How are you? I'm fine. Just chilling here. And this just goes to show why, especially your old male buffalo can be quite dangerous, because they love to hide in these little drainage lines, and especially if you're on foot and you just creep up on them by accident, ooh, you're gonna have problems. But he obviously heard us coming, so he knew what we're all about, so he doesn't really need to worry. Hear the emerald spotted wood dove in the background. Whoop, boop, 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 boop. Now remember, buffalo are distantly related to cows, and I'm sure many of you have seen cows in a field, or even sheep, doing what the buffalo is doing right now. It's chewing whatever he's eaten first thing this morning when it was a bit cooler. And it's just known as chewing the cud. So he would have gathered the grass, swallowed it into the stomach, and it would have been separated out in the rumen. And bacteria would have been added to that and started to break it down, but then the large pieces would be brought back up and chewed around, and that's exactly what he's doing now, making it really nice and mushy. It'll be swallowed down again, and it'll go through the same process, and if there's still too bigger bits, they'll get thrown back up again to be rechewed, but the smaller bits will go through the other 3 chambers of the stomach. So that's just known as, excuse me, rumination. He is known as a ruminant. And the dung between the antelope, the buffalo, all those animals that are ruminants, is much smaller than that of what we call the hindgut fermenters, which are the elephants and the rhinos. And that's much, much larger, and the pieces are much coarser because they don't re-chew. And if I can kind of put it into picture terms for you, if the elephant and buffalo took in the same amount of food, the buffalo would actually get out a higher percentage of goodness just from that amount of food compared to, say, like an elephant. Because he re-chews the food and he gets as much goodness out as possible, he allows the bacteria to get to as much of the content as possible, and that's why their dung is relatively small compared to the size of the animal. Got a chorus of emerald spotted wood doves in the background. Can't lie, as hot as it is, that doesn't really look that inviting to me at this stage. So I think you're welcome to have that pan by yourself, mister. Ooh. Something scared the Franklin. I will leave you to your own devices, mister. It does sound very similar to the Birchall's cuckoo, so if you're trying to ID those birds, just be careful. They do sound very similar. All stations, one in Yari at Philemon's Dip. We do have hyena tracks from this morning. I don't know if we're going to be able to see them. Let me just see if I can position the vehicle. Maybe we can do it. Are you going to be able to get it from an angle there, do you think? Kind of. Let me see if I can actually point it out. If you could maybe relay what I'm saying to everybody, that would be very cool.
We hear you from there.
Oh, you can hear me? Ah, even better. Okay, I just have to see which one you're actually on. Oh, I'm definitely going to need a step ladder to get back in here. Okay, which one are you on? This one?
Yeah, I'll go there, yeah, I'm on that one.
So, can you see that shape at all?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so this is the back pad, and then we have the toes here. And I don't know if you can actually make it out, but the toes almost make like a half moon shape. And that's what makes it a hyena. And then in the back pad, we've got two lobes. So we've got one there and one there. Now with cats, they have three lobes, and they don't have this half moon shape. So with a cat, it would be three lobes like this, and toes, nice and oval toes. Probably not the best drawing in the world. I don't know if, can you actually see the size difference between this one and this one? Are you picking that up at all?
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, so with hyenas, another thing that we look for, even if you can't see that detail, you look for the small back foot and the large front foot. So the front foot is that size. You can see the back foot is about that much smaller than the front foot. And if you think about it, the way the hyenas are, try and picture a hyena in your head. And a hyena's got a very big front portion of the body and a very small back portion. They almost have like this sloping back, and they have such a heavy weight on the front. They need to have a lot more area to actually disperse their weight, and that's why they have such a big front foot and such a small back foot, because they don't carry much weight on the back. And most animals are like that. Even the elephants have this nice big round foot and a smaller oval back foot. So that's one thing that we do look out for, but it's very defined in the hyenas. With the cats, it's not so much, but you can still work out the round and the oval back foot. Cool. So that is all. That was from this morning. I think I need to take a running jump in here. Sorry if that squeak hurt your ears. I think we have located. We're going to try and sort it out this afternoon. So yeah, I think those tracks were from this morning. We just see them actually when we came back from drive. And it's probably from one of the adults that we found around by the hyena den. So we're going to have a look around there. The hyena's den just behind us. So we're going to have a look there a bit later on and see, once it cools off a little bit, if the baby's going to come out and play. For those of you who weren't able to join us on Drive this morning and see it. I remember the true cats actually retract their claws, so that's why you don't tend to see claw marks. On that hyena track, you couldn't see the claw marks too well, but they do have a slight point on the end of their toes, which is the claws registering, because their claws stay out much like that of a dog. So this time of day, I'm starting to look underneath the bushes, see if there is any possible cats that might be around, lazing about in the bush, trying to keep cool. They do tend to move around when it's cooler, but there's nothing to say they won't move around this time of day. On my research on the cameras that I have, the remote cameras, we've actually found them to be active even in 42 degrees, the heat of the day. So if they need to, especially the females, if they've got cubs and they need to find food for them, then they can be active. And obviously highly opportunistic. They will try their luck with anything. And I think that's one of the reasons why leopards have been so successful and so widely dispersed across the world. Wow. There's a lot of destruction around from the elephants. You kind of forget when you don't live with elephants, you do forget how much damage they can cause. Lots of trees just pushed over and roots upended. Like this one here. Oh, brilliant. Obviously at different times of the year they'll go for different parts of the tree depending on where the nutrients are. So certainly during the winter time, when all the nutrients are held back in the roots on a lot of the trees and a lot of the plants, they'll start digging up the roots. It's amazing, sometimes the trees can still survive. As long as some of the roots are in the ground, it's all good. Maybe we'll see them a little bit better. Oh, yeah. We'll see which way they're moving, that way. Let's try in here. Oh, that's going to be a little bit more open. Nice spot. nice little herd. See which direction. I think they're just eating fruits off the ground at the moment in seed pods. Can you see them nicely through there, or do you need to go a bit forward?
No, that's perfect.
Yeah. Hello, little boy. I think Mama's just at the back there. And I think there's actually a little one just to her left, maybe about a 3-4-year-old. Let's see if they'll come out in the open a little bit. I think I counted 4, so this could be mother and offspring from 2 or 3 generations. That young lad looks probably to be about 14, something like that. Probably on the verge of leaving. I'll just see if I can move back a little bit, you might see him a little bit better. Unless I can move forward. Just want to see. You guys go forward. There. Just a little stick. There we go, we should be able to see the little one. Is there a nice baby? There we go. And this one doesn't have any tusks. Maybe it's a little bit younger than I thought it was. But height-wise it looks like a 3 or 4-year-old. All stations, Small Schlambier and Love, north of Treehouse Down. Yeah, because at that age we should see the tusk starting to protrude. They usually have milk tusks, and they're usually shed about a year old. And then the tusks that they grow after that are permanent. I think they're slowly moving in an easterly direction. Just see if I can't get another view of them nicely for you. So I'll try and get into a slightly more open area so we can actually have a look through. toppling over than what I was. Can you see what that tree's caught on?
On the wheel, actually.
Oh, is it? Think thin, everybody. Think thin. Oh, okay. She's gonna go into the open area there. That would help. Nope, she's going that way. Ah. You guys didn't think thin. So I've just got quite a large log on this other side of me. There we go. Where did you go? There you are. Looks like they are slowly making their way down towards the water. Okay, for those of you who may have missed, we did identify where the squeaking was coming from and trying to reduce it as much as possible. Ah, I'm caught again. Thank you. But we will try and... It was just a little bit more of a job than what we thought, so we're going to try and fix it after drive this afternoon, so it'll be ready for tomorrow. But I am trying to limit it as much as possible for you. It's amazing how quickly, even though elephants are just walking, how quickly they're moving. There is an elephant to our left, but I'm going to try and go around the tree because they're also making their way towards the water. There's another youngster through there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Let me just see if we can get around this side. Even though it's pretty open, there's still a lot of trees just in the wrong places. I'm just trying to navigate my way around here. Now these little trees are quite helpful because at least I can drive over them, bend them, and then they can actually bend back up. Oh, there we go, we have a marula right in front of us, has been pushed over. I might just come out for us. Nope. Completely hidden by the bush. Amazing. The largest land mammal in the world can hide behind such a small bush. Can you believe it? Find a clear way out. I think that's going to be easier said than done. do remember following, I think it was in Djuma, along one of the game trails here. I've forgotten how thick it actually can get in here. Don't worry, we'll meet you there. Save a spot for us. The water's edge. Now that's one thing I love. Have you ever seen the elephants swimming? Oh, I love it. Oh, we have some buffalo here as well. Just want to see if we can get into a nice position for you. Because it looks like they're in this top corner here. Just missed you. That's not cool. Good afternoon to you, Gail from the US. Welcome on board this afternoon. We'll come back. I'm sure the buffalo aren't going to go anywhere. It looks like it was just the youngster that wanted to come down and drink. But Gail wants to know, do they need the tusk to survive? And the tusks actually do help in a number of ways. Just picking off little bits of bark to help strip the bark off the tree. He's walking pretty fast. Can you see him through there? I'll try and see if we can catch up with them again. It looks like they're heading through the bush fairly quickly. But they also use the tusks for digging and they also use their feet to try and dig. So we have seen, I do remember on occasion, there is another one through there actually. Can you see him? You should be able to see it. He's quite nicely framed, his rump. Oh, just disappeared. Just disappearing. I'm going to go around to see if I can't head them off. Because I'm struggling to keep up with them in the bush here. And what's to dig in the winter time for the roots and everything. Saw the bush moving. I think that was the wind. I'm just gonna wait here just for a couple of minutes, just to see if they won't cut through here. So I did see a bush moving. I thought that was them, but it is just the wind, unfortunately. But they were heading here on a fairly quick pace. This may have drank a little bit earlier and don't need to
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us.
Something interesting to slow them up a little bit, or they've just changed their direction slightly and gone north. Ooh. I did not realise we had this plant here. If there is a little bit I can show you. Something very interesting about this. I can't see an old one. Get back onto the road and I'll just see if I can angle so you can actually see it nicely. Very cool. Ah, there, yes. Yes. So we'll head down to have a look at the buffalo just now. I'll show you this quickly. Are you able to maybe zoom in on this? Are you able to see that at all, or is it a little bit too close? Yeah, I thought there was actually a little piece that I could maybe show you, but hopefully I can see. Yeah, you can see the gist of it. Anyway, it's called baboon's tail or bushman's candle. And they actually have really beautiful flowers. I think it's also called black stick lily, and the flower does look a bit like a lily. Interestingly, if you actually take a little bit of one of those leaves out, and on the end it actually has almost like a swelling, and if you eat that it tastes like a peanut. Not very nutritious, but at least it will give you something if you're in a survival situation. But what makes it one of my favourite plants is the fact that the Bushmen apparently used it to transport coals. The Bushmen were highly nomadic people, and they'd move from place to place. And if maybe I can show you when the camera zooms out again, it's actually very fibrous. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's very fibrous, and this is very tightly packed. So that's why I was trying to look for a dead piece, but it was all attached, unfortunately. So this is very tightly packed and doesn't burn very easily at all. So they would actually have coals left over from the fire, and the stalks themselves are probably about that sort of thickness, sometimes a little bit more, but usually about that sort of thickness. So they can actually take the top off, so they take a piece of this out, put the coals in, and maybe with a little bit of animal fat, keep it burning a little bit, and then they can transport those coals so they can restart a fire somewhere else, apparently. And obviously, baboon's tail, you saw, it did look like the end of a baboon's tail. So it has many different names. I think it's Latin Xerophyta retinervis. Now, Latin names usually get used because there are so many different common names, local common names. So to try and standardise everything, every living thing has a Latin name. But yeah, nice. Oh, I'm gonna have a problem there, aren't I? Oh, and still no sign of the elephants. Well, maybe we'll be lucky and we'll see them out in the open a little bit later on. So we'll take a drive back up that way, maybe. We'll study Zoe's, see what happens. Stations leaving the Schlambiov and Vlog, clambering north from Treehouse Dam. Wow, there's a lot of it. How have I never noticed this? Or maybe I just don't remember it being here and it was here. Hello, buffalo. So we saw the one male on his own, but it is also very normal to see a group of older males together. I think the most we've ever seen is about 15. It doesn't tend to get any bigger than that. Wow, these are big boys. It's really hard to see the first male we saw. Most of him was submerged, but these are beautiful boys. Looks like really nice condition as well. And the old faithful oxpeckers on the backs as well. Red-billed oxpeckers. If ever you see a yellow-billed, shout. You don't tend to see them very often. Oh, and the weavers are still using this tree 3 years on. Oh, that's brilliant. It's obviously a decent tree. Oh, and a woodland kingfisher as well, taking a bath. Yeah, it looked like there was a female weaver there. There's all the weaver nests. And welcome on board to those of you who are just joining us. A few people wondering if we are visiting the hyena den later, and yes, we will. We'll see if the little baby's out and about. But it might be a little bit hot at the moment, it might be taking refuge inside, so I'm just going to wait until it cools off a little bit. Thinking maybe we'll head there about an hour and a half before the end of drive, something like that possibly. Maybe a little bit later, we'll see how the temperature goes. But it is possible to tell the species. Oh, there he goes. Oh, nice, you caught it. Very cool. You can see that vivid electric blue just standing out there. And 1 or 2 weavers just dotted around on the nests as well. But it is possible to tell the species just by the shape of the nest. Some of them actually have an entrance tunnel, some of them don't. Some of them have a very long entrance tunnel. There goes the kingfisher again. Now this is the woodlands kingfisher. Doesn't tend to fish, even though it is a kingfisher, it doesn't tend to fish on a regular basis. Now if there is a fish around and it's hungry, then it might just take it. But it's probably just cooling off in the water. And it tends to go for lizards and insects and that sort of thing. But that is the bird that's very noisy, and it is the call of summer. A chip chirr. Never gets tiresome. Oh, we have a blacksmith lapwing on the other side of the bank. I think just below the female weaver that's in shot now. There we go. Blacksmith lapwing there. Apparently its call is supposed to... Oh, of course it goes into hiding. Its call is supposed to sound like a blacksmith's hammer on an anvil. That's where it gets its name from. Let me just pull forward a little bit and just see if we can get a slightly closer look. See if we can get a better look at the lapwing, but also the weavers as well. It's amazing to watch a weaver make these nests. It takes them about a day and a half, but it really is amazing to watch. Okay, can you see it through there at all underneath the nest, or do I need to move back slightly? About now, he's literally just framed by the nest. Yeah, there he is. There he goes, moving there now. And they can become quite aggressive. Who is that moving around in the water? Oh, it's the terrapins! You see the terrapin heads just in the water here. Yeah, just about there. There he is. The terrapins quite often will go and take the ticks off the backs of the buffalo while they're sitting in the water, and off the hippo as well. And there's a few bubbles here as well. I wonder if there is a hippo around. But good afternoon to you. I think it was V, or was it B, from Twitter. Not sure where you're actually from, but welcome on board this afternoon. And V wants to know when the chicks are going to hatch, and by all accounts they should be hatching now. A lot of these nests look fairly old. The new ones still have the green, and each weaver will use a different material to build. And I'm pretty sure these were the southern masked weavers, if I remember rightly. See, some of them are starting to fall apart, which means they have been used. And as I say, this tree has been used even for the 2 years that I was actually guiding here for Wild Earth. So that's 5 years that these weavers have been using this tree. So some of these will be old, some of them they will get so old they'll no longer be able to hold onto the branch and they'll just fall into the water and drift away. As I say, it really is amazing, and the male actually stands there holding 2 twigs together with his 2 legs and then starts wrapping a piece of grass around the edge. And quite often the mass weavers and the village weavers will use thorn trees, and I think that obviously gives them a little bit of a better grip to hold the nests in place, especially when it starts getting windy. Where is it? There he is, he's right at the top of the screen. Yeah, there he is. So there's the male. The female's a little bit duller, but the male's got this beautiful black face. Southern masked weavers have red eyes, lesser masked weavers have pale eyes. And the village weaver also has black face and red eye, but there's a lot more pattern to the back and slightly bigger, but you don't really, unless you see the 2 side by side, you don't really pick that up. But oh, he's actually pulling his apart. Now it could be that a female came to visit and she didn't like it, so he's pulling it apart. And that does happen with weavers. If the female doesn't like it, it gets destroyed either by the female or the male, depending on the species. Oh, there was a female actually going into the nest just next to him. Oh, there's a female on the screen now as well. A little bit duller. So the male will build a nest. He'll make a big racket about inviting her in, and he'll flap his wings and chirp like crazy. And quite often there'll be a lot of other males. So we're actually coming towards the end of the breeding season by the looks of it, because there would be an absolute cacophony of sound. It's quite deafening when they're all going for it. So then the female will decide, okay, yeah, I like this nest and I like you, so she will mate with him, lay the eggs in the nest. And that hole, actually, that's the entrance to the nest, and there's almost like a little wall that stops the eggs falling out, although if it's blowing a gale, sometimes the eggs do fall out, unfortunately. But once the male's mated with a female, he'll then move on and build another nest and then invite other females in, so each female will be in a single nest. And I think also they might utilise the thorn trees to stop any snakes, or to try and reduce the snakes getting to the nest. And I've actually seen mambas climbing up, I think the weavers were actually on thatching grass. They were quite low to the ground, and the mamba was able to climb up the grass and get into the nest, and the weavers were dive bombing it like crazy. They were mobbing it. And it dropped off one and shot up another and actually went into the nest, and I think he must have found a chick in it. And I've also seen rhombic egg eaters as well climbing into the nests. So try and protect them as much as they can. But very nice to see they're still here. Shall we carry on? Oh yeah, what I was saying about the black mist. The temperature's getting to my brain. The blacksmith lapwings. You don't want to be walking anywhere near their nests. They will defend it very aggressively. It's quite amazing. They will dive bomb you and mob you if you get anywhere near their nest at all. Try and get you to move away. There they are, there's the pair. I thought I saw both of them. Oh, and of course, one just flies off. Slightly better view of them. Unmistakable, this lapwing. Just move forward a bit, I think somebody's moving. Hello. All stations, Schlambier, Vignari, out Treehouse Dam. A small Schlambi of Dugaboy and Vignari at Treehouse Dam. Now, for those of you who are just joining us and never been on a safari before, I'm talking to other guides on the reserve to try and let them know if we find anything of interest. And obviously the Big Five, which is who the buffalo belongs to as a collective group. The Big Five is something the tourists always want to see. So we keep in contact with each other and let each other know where these animals of interest are. And they do the same for us as well. So if there's anything of interest that we're able to get to. And it just helps because the animals could literally be anywhere. I mean, remember, we are live in South Africa. We've no idea where these animals are. We try and use the bush newspaper, the road, to see where tracks have been left by the animals. We try and use the smells that the animals leave behind to try and find them. The sounds that other animals give, or maybe that particular animal gives, to try and locate them. But if we have a lot of eyes on the ground, we increase our chances of finding these animals as well. And we're part of the animals' lives. They've grown up with us. For many of the animals, they've never known anything different. Having vehicles in their lives, it's just like another animal to them. It sounds like the lions that were around this morning on Buffels Hook, which is quite far north from here, have moved. And somebody was saying they're heading a bit further south, so keep your fingers crossed. That'd be awesome if they make their way back towards Djuma area. I'll keep my ear to the ground. And apparently it was the Birmingham coalition they were talking about. Ooh. Hello, we have caracal tracks. Very nice. Unfortunately not very clear, but remember I was showing you the hyena track. And, oh actually I do have my book. I'll show you quickly. So with the hyena track, remember I said there was the 2 lobes in the back pad, but the caracal has 3 lobes. So if some of you have actually missed the tracks, this is what I was trying to show you on the road. So this was the hyena with the 2 lobes and those half moon shaped toes with the claws. And the caracal is a true cat, so it retracts its claws so you don't see the claw marks in its track. There we go. And these are roughly about the right size as well. So you can see 3 lobes in the back of the pad that I was telling you about, and nice oval toes. They're not half moon shaped, and no claws usually, unless it's really thick substrate. Sometimes if it's very thick mud they've gone through, the sheath gets pushed back slightly and you do see the claws. But that was about the size that was here on the road. So caracal's been out and about. That would be very nice to see. So keep your eyes peeled. Caracal, otherwise known as a rooikat in Afrikaans, red cat, very well named, and it has the black tips on the ears with the little tufts. And if memory serves me correctly, I think caracal's an Arabic name. Maybe someone can remind me of the meaning. It's either black ears or cat that barks. I think it is black ears. Maybe someone could check the meaning for me again. My brain's a little bit fuzzy on that one. Thanks, Andrew. Oh, Turkish. There we go. Yeah, Turkish. And last station, can you confirm the lock on that Ingwe? Copy that, thank you. Is anybody approaching it? Ah, apparently there's a leopard at Gary Dam. So I think we shall head that side. See if we can actually turn around. Actually, I think our quickest route is probably back the way we came. I think it was the lodge. Somebody at the lodge has just seen it. They've just called it in. So it just goes to show, as I was saying before, sometimes they can move around in the heat of the day like this. I wonder if it might be the little boy that popped out from where we left him yesterday. Yeah, the caracal does tend to bark rather than make a purring call or roaring. They're quite a small cat. Much bigger than a domestic cat though. Unless we take Tree the Twin Dams Road, maybe we do that. So we might lose you going through Twin Dams, but do bear with us. I'm just trying to see if we can get to Gary Dam as quickly as possible. So if we can catch up with that little spotted feline. Been avoiding me for a day and a half. Let's see what we can do. This is one of those times you just wish you could click your fingers and then teleport there. Hopefully you're still with us. So if you're just tuning in, we've just had a call through saying that there's a leopard over at Gary Dam. So we're going to see if we can go and catch up with it. It doesn't sound like there's any other vehicles who are going to be able to get there too quickly. It sounds like it was a member of staff that picked up the leopard at the lodge. But I'm really excited to try and see leopard. I know a lot of you who know me know they are probably one of my favourite animals to follow here on Wild Earth, and especially our favourite lady, the Queen of Djuma, Kunyuma, and it is likely one of the members of the family. So actually, let's do that. Weaver's Nest and then up down to Gary Dam. And hope to stick with us because I think the signal does get a little bit choppy that side. Sorry for that loss of signal there. I thought we were all good on that road. But with the vegetation being so thick this time of year, it drops out a bit. It just goes to show we are live. And as I say, if you have just joined us, we're making our way to Gary Dam. I'm trying to be as quick as possible. Obviously not giving you seasickness. Lost you actually. I was just asking Brian. No matter how many times you see a leopard, it's always exciting. Even if you just see a leopard in the road, I get like a little good again. It's amazing. And that's part of my job, is to actually research leopards at the moment. And it's still a thrill. It's still an absolute thrill to see them. It never gets old. Watch now, those elephants are going to pop out. Just because they can. So I must admit we've been so privileged in following the life of the female who's mainly resident here, Garula, for those of you who don't know much about leopards here at Djuma. I know there's been a few new followers on board. She's really given us quite an amazing insight into leopard behaviour and life here in Djuma as a leopard. And we've really shared some fantastic moments with her. And I remember one of those, I think Mark was actually driving, and he spent 3 hours with her trying to relocate her two male cubs from her second litter, Misha and Induna. And this is what makes me think it's kind of a mutual process. So she doesn't tend to kick them out and move them on as much as what was originally thought, especially with male cubs. But it's almost like this coming of age and the cubs realising that actually they don't need mum's support and they can become independent. And it was almost this, as I say, it was almost like this saying goodbye to her. It was very odd, but she was calling and calling and calling and they weren't responding. And that was the last time we really saw them interacting as mother and cub. Occasionally we did see the boys together after that. But then, as I say, we did see Induna with his father. We did see Misha with his father feeding on a carcass once or twice. So really quite amazing. As I say, if you read the books, leopards are supposed to be solitary unless females have cubs, which is supposed to be 90% of their lifetime. But I think they're a little bit more sociable than what we give them credit for. And I do remember last time I was guiding, we were talking about the exploded pride theory, which somebody was researching with leopards. And as I say, if you guys have a chance, have a look at the paper. We've actually managed to get it out there in the academic world about this interaction. There's been a couple of times that I wrote about for a paper. So hopefully some of you were able to read it. It's from the African Journal of Ecology, and some of you were actually witness to those amazing sightings that we have with Rula and her family. Actually, we'll just go straight and then head straight down to Gowrie Dam. Just coming on to quarantine now. We're not too far away. We're almost there. Stay there. We're coming. But it was one of those. I thought we need to get this out there in the academic world, because you know, if we don't write about it, who has? It's happened in the Sabi Sands on a number of occasions, but there's never been any papers written. So people who don't live this life and live with the leopards, they don't know about it. So I thought it was very important to share what we saw and what we shared seeing. So I wrote it along with my supervisor from Reading, who's supervising my PhD, which I'm halfway through, researching leopards. And let's say Reading University were very thrilled to be involved in the leopard research as well. And I say, hopefully we can actually add to the information out there. And interestingly, somebody asked me for the paper from Namibia, and they're seeing very similar sightings of family interactions that side. So we made history here on Wild Earth, can you believe it? It is there in the literature for years to come. Hi Nicole, and welcome on board. Germany. I hope you're well. Now, I'm just going to see if we can relocate this left bird. I think it was down the water. I think there is Egyptian geese there. Doesn't look like there's another vehicle. No. Saw it on by drainage line. That's where the leopard was seen apparently. There is another vehicle that's, I think, heading into the drainage line now to try and relocate. So we're also going to have that's not it's that other 2-track, is it, that you take down now? I think that's what Mark was saying. I'm just trying to remember how to get down there now. It's looking a little bit overgrown. That's where we used to go in. I think there was a better 2-track a bit round the corner. So there was a question coming in from Germany just before we lost you, and it was all about the cubs and if the cubs are just siblings or whether they're twins. And Misha and Duna were the twins, but they You don't tend to get identical twins. I was actually wanting to look this up the other day if there was anything that has been reported on identical twins, but it tends to be just twins, and the litter mates obviously will be twins, but then other litters will be siblings. So the 3-year-old son who I was talking about in Djuma was a sibling to the 2 1-year-old cubs that he interacted with, but that's not supposed to happen. They're never supposed to interact together unless they're litter mates, so from the same litter. So that's what made it extremely interesting. The fact that he was interacting with these cubs, which clearly he must have met at some stage. Although I do remember he didn't get too well with the little boy, Shivambalana. He was snarling at him a little bit, unfortunately. Every time he looked at him, Shivambalana just wanted to play. He was like a typical younger brother. Play with me. And the older brother going, no, I'm not interested, thank you. Okay, so we're just in front of the rooms now. I'm going to keep following this 2-track. Wow, that's overgrown. We used to drive down here all the time. And apparently there's a little water hole at the end of this 2-track now. This used to be quite a favourite stomping ground of Kunyuma. I remember there was a few you could actually catch her on the decks at the lodge. Ella, with her and the cubs, just chilling. Oh, there he is. There he is, yes. You see him through there? Not a great visual. Okay, I'm just see if I can get around the corner here. Oh, fantastic. Are we all right to go? Hello. He went down there somewhere. Can you see him? Oh, is there? Oh, yeah, I can. He's just gone down. Let me just move forward. He's just gone down that side. Shout if you can see him, so obviously you've got the height over me now. I think he went down that way, didn't he? Okay. There he is. So Aubrey's just confirming it's Kunyuma. And he really is a beautiful boy. Is it going to help if I move back a little bit or not?
He's going to disappear from sight pretty soon.
Oh, he is stunning. I believed the father of this cub is a Vula, and he is a big cat. Thought to be one of the 5 largest toms in the Sabi Sands. Can you see him? Ah, there he is, yeah, straight through there. And there he goes. Let's see if we can get through here. Oh, buffalo. Buffalo's like, I'm out of here. Hoping if we can get down in there, it's going to be a little bit easier to keep with him. But that might be easier said than done. Oh, but magic to see him and catch up with him, that is just fantastic. Did you see where he went? Carried on up. So apparently he carried on up the stream here. Okay, let's see if we can maybe go back up and go across. Yeah, just there's a vehicle, I think he's probably going to try and come down, so I'll just wait for him to come down. Oh, no, he's going. No, he's going on somewhere else. That was a shame because I was going to see if we maybe go up that side, but there's a nice big donga that I don't think we'd get in there okay. I don't think we'd get out very well. But yeah, he certainly looked like he was on a mission, that's for sure. Maybe if we can carry on going across here, we might just be lucky with a view down. I'm not sure. I do remember driving through here at some stage, but I couldn't honestly tell you how far we got. Let's just see if we are. So apparently the twin of This little boy is the quarantine male, and it is Karula's 4th litter. And I'm so excited to have caught up with them. Let's see if we get a view down here. Movement through there. So he was probably just a little bit further back. But I think the donga actually does go right in front here. And as he proved the other day, he can hide extremely well. I think we were literally almost on top of him. But he decided he didn't want to be seen that morning. Just see if there is any movement. As I say, with him being shy, the best thing to do is just try and pick a spot and just sit and wait. And see if there is any movement. You might just be lucky. It is worth just sitting here just for a few minutes without the engine going. See if there's any alarm calls. Maybe there's a squirrel sitting in the tree, or maybe monkeys pick him up. Oh wow, sorry, just missed who that was from, but apparently Kunyuma has actually been known to snarl and hiss at vehicles. Oh, Jennifer, thanks Jennifer from New York. Just getting a little bit of background on our resident leopards. And so unfortunately, being away for 2 years, you do miss out on some of these little subtle differences between the characteristics of leopards, because they're just like humans. They have their different characters. Some are bold and brave, and they'll come right up to the vehicle, no problems at all. And some of them don't really like them, you know, even though they're part of their life, they prefer not to have them. So they'll keep themselves to themselves, and apparently this little cat is one of those cats. But apparently he is starting to relax, but that's why we kept our distance from him. And as I say, just stay keeping static, vehicle switched off. That's one way you can actually convince the shyer animals that, you know, we're not that bad. And obviously just keeping your distance, giving them a positive reinforcement all the time. That's why we try not to stay on the tails too much, and that's why unfortunately sometimes we will lose them, especially in thick bush like this. But rather than going directly behind the cat and scaring it, we try and come in from the side and see if we can actually leapfrog them almost and just stay static, which was what we were trying to do yesterday morning. But obviously he had other plans and it was extremely thick bush. But just to be able to see him, just a glimpse of it, oh, so exciting. There's Franklin's calling over there, but that's their normal contact call. There's a pearl-spotted owlet calling as well. Tiny little owl, about this big. Aubrey, 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 come in for Tara. Okay, copy. Thanks a lot. I'm just sitting, maybe see if he'll come in. Thanks a lot. I'm just going to sit here and just see if we can't get another visual. Okay, well let's just back out and just see if there is another opening that we may be able to have a look down to the drainage line, otherwise we shall turn around and head back out. I think other vehicles did say they're going to try Gallego shortcut, which is the closest road to here. So we don't want to be too many vehicles around there, so I'll just put it into the ground if they do catch up with him again. Running from the vehicles, he was just at a steady pace, so he looked pretty just going about his business as a leopard. That's going to be the end. Worth a try. Oh, hold on. Get a little bit further. I seem to remember actually, I think we had the lions in this drainage line with a big buffalo kill once. So there might actually be a 2-track that we can pop out on. Oh, this is perfect leopard habitat. Oh, lots of places to hide. It's beautiful here. There's nice deep dongas down here. So I'm hoping if he did decide to come this way, we might just get lucky and just see him popping over the ridge. As I say, we'll give it a couple of minutes, see if we do hit it lucky. You never know. Otherwise we will leave the area. I think we're still quite a distance from that 2-track because it used to come in from the northern side and it was quite a drive in. I thought maybe it was going to be a fairly easy drive up to it, but I think it's changed my plans a little bit. There's a nice tamborti tree just in the corner of your screen there. Now whatever you do, don't ever, if you're going to have a braai in South Africa, don't ever use the wood from this tree, because you will have the runs afterwards from the smoke fumes. It's highly, highly toxic. But the bark, you can see, very characteristic. It's very dark. and it's almost making small rectangles all the way up the trunk. But it has this latex inside, and if you get it on your skin, it'll burn you. Somehow I managed to eat a little bit, and believe me, it makes your mouth tingle a lot. I realised there was something wrong. I must have brushed past it, and it must have just been open somehow, or a twig snapped or something, and I think it was actually a young tamborti, and I must have touched my lip and it just started burning. I was like, what on earth's going on? No, I realised it was from the tamborti, and immediately washed my mouth out a lot very, very quickly. But it also very effective insect repellent. So if you do take a little twig of that tree, put it on the fire and just let it smoke. Obviously don't try and inhale the smoke, but just a small twig can actually be very effective against mosquitoes and other flying insects. So it does still have its uses, even though it's highly toxic. And one of the leopard's favourite trees was sitting in. This one's a little bit awkward. I don't think they'll sit in this one, but sometimes you get them where they've got slightly more of a horizontal trunk, and they'll sit in that. Marula trees as well is one of their favourite ones. You can see there's a marula tree next to us, and they tend to have these nice thick horizontal branches, very comfortable for the leopards to sit on, by the looks of things anyway. And if anybody does have any questions just while we're sitting here seeing if this leopard will return to us, then all you have to do is send them through to questions@WildEarth.tv, or the Twitter, you can also send them through on that account, so #SafariLive. But I think that is all we're going to see of this little boy. I think that was Finn. Welcome on board, Finn, from the Netherlands. I'm wondering what dongas are, and I was actually going to just explain that. I totally forgot. These are... Oh, Tong, sorry, Tong. Tom. I'll get there eventually. It's very hot out here. My brain is, I think, being fried this afternoon. But the dongas are these ditches. So they're places where water has eroded the land away. So they're not really drainage lines, but they would have been maybe part of a drainage line. But just the water flowing through them constantly, when we've had very heavy rains, that tends to cause this erosion, and it just makes a deep gully. As I say, if you can go into some of them if they're big enough, you can go in and come out, but some of them you'll go in and stay in there because you won't be able to get your other wheels in and out. So sometimes if you see the vehicle jolt as we're going through a drainage line, it does mean that we've actually found a donga and it was hidden because of all the grass or something. I am hearing the francolins to our right. But I think that was actually its normal contact call. They're not... You tend to hear them it's quite loud and quite frantic. But it's very quiet over there. Yeah, there we go. Natal Franklin's calling there. But that is their normal contact call. The sun is starting to drop, so they do give their last verse of the day, just to keep all the bonds between the pairs very strong. And they'll actually do that in the morning as well, and that's why the birds do sing. It's the dawn chorus. And 90% of birds will actually sing that time of day. And that's to let all the other birds in the area know we've survived the night, we're still in our territory, so don't bother trying to come and take over. It strengthens the bonds, and if the pairs have been split up overnight, they can relocate each other as well. So it's their evening chorus for the Natal Francolins. But I think we are going to slowly make our way out, hoping we'll have a little bit more luck with him. But you never know, saying there was the impala herd there, so it could be he's going to try and hunt that side. But it did look like he was on a mission north, but who knows. These cats have their own plans, and all we have to try and do is try and predict it. And you can see it doesn't always work. But let's see if we can get out and find the road again. and maybe have another look with maybe another cat or something else of interest. What did I just see? I almost caught. Yeah, am I on the back there? Am I okay? Square peg round hole. When it's these instances where you do this back and forwards, I feel like Austin in that tunnel. Just going back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to do one more and hopefully that's us. Never. Ah, what a girl. And you never know, maybe you'll cross over and in front of us this side. Right, make sure that I angle this right, otherwise I'm going to lose Brian on the back here. You're holding on. Yeah, it's holding on for dear life there. So yeah, it does sound like there's a lot of vehicles up that side. Gallego shortcut. And Buffles Hook cut line. Actually, have you carried on down this road? You know, where it spits us out? Should we give it a go? I've not been down this, because this never used to be a 2-track. I don't think we ever got this high up. No, we did. We got this high up once. Ah. Okay. Okay. We are getting a little bit of break up there, so we'll try that another day. Maybe when there's a bit of cloud cover. Helps to bounce the signal a little bit, I think. Oh, it's still nice to catch up with him though. So I hope you managed to get the glimpses of his rump disappearing behind the bush. They would think very, very carefully about taking down, because the mother with those fearsome horns is quite a match. So you don't tend to hear of leopards taking down buffalo calves. Technically speaking, they could if the circumstances were right, but they do tend to go for the smaller antelope like the impala, the bushbuck. That tends to be what they go for, but they are capable of taking down anything that they put their minds to, and they will try anything. Tortoises, insects, rodents, guinea fowl, right the way through to, we've even heard of giraffe, sub-adult giraffe being taken down by leopard, which is quite astounding if you think about it. And even I've heard of eland, young eland, roughly about the same size as buffalo calves. Female kudu. So they really are powerhouses of note. And yet the females, you're looking about 40 kilos, males somewhere up to 80 kilos, occasionally 90 kilos. So in terms of size, they're not actually that big. And you're looking at a buffalo here that's weighing about a ton. It sounds like they might have actually picked up the tracks. It sounds like he might have come out and he's heading west. But we'll slowly make our way towards the quarantine area, because I say it does sound like there's a couple of vehicles in the area. And I think there was a couple of vehicles who weren't able to see him who were interested. So I'll keep my ears to the ground, and if they do find him and there is a space for us, we'll see if we can get in there again. So I'll try and put us where it's around the right area, but we'll see if we can find tracks from somebody else. I say that's when we could just click our fingers and just be there. That would have been fantastic. We're just that little bit too far. And you can see he covers ground very, very quickly when he wants to. So we're on Mvubu Road again. Mvubu meaning hippo. And we have, remember I was saying to you we had the Natal Franklin calling, for those of you who don't know what a Natal Franklin looks like. That is a Natal, well, I keep calling it Franklin, its new name is spurfowl. So they have the spurs on the back of their legs. Almost like a partridge size, I think. A small pheasant without the big tail. It's always amazing to me how big these, or how small the birds are and how big their voices are. Looking for last minute insects and seeds by the looks of it, before the sun goes down and he goes to roost. Yes, I'm talking about you. I seem to remember we used to see a lot more crested francolin. They're slightly smaller than this type of francolin and have a darker head. Actually, it is starting to get a little bit cooler. Maybe we should start making our way over to the hyena den for now. As I say, if there is a chance and they do see the leopard again, then we might be able to go and rejoin it. But if you have just tuned in and you missed the leopard, I'm sorry. But we've left the area we lost him in. It sounds like the tracks came out Gallego shortcut and carried on west. This sounds like there's 2 vehicles in the area, possibly a third. So we don't allow the animal to do have on how many people can view the animal at one time, so that we can try and keep them nice and relaxed, just so we don't do too much. And then a couple of other vehicles have so they still looking. So we expect that they do see them. And as I say, there is a chance. And as I say, there is a chance to have another look. We'll go back in. But as I say, this is the Sabi Sands. Anything's possible. We could bump into another leopard around the corner. So let's head round to the hyena den, see if the baby hyena is out to have a play. And one of these days I will still get to Zoe's Road. That's way at some stage. Just have a nice look down here. This is another perfect area for the leopards to be hiding in. Or even lions. Hello, hippo! Got one hippo in the dam here. More than likely a bull. They tend to be a little bit more solitary than the females, although they can spend some time with the females as well. But the bulls tend to hold a territory, tends to be in the water. As far as we know, and I think they are still researching this, as far as we know, the territory boundaries kind of end at the water. So they don't hold a territory outside the water. And the more hippos there are, the smaller those territories get. And you can get quite some vicious fighting with those hippos. It looks like we've got a heron just at the back on the water's edge as well. And some little egrets. Yeah, looks like... Thank you! Making sure he wasn't being missed. Yeah, juvenile grey heron at the back, and then there he is, and then the little white birds just to the foreground were the little egrets. Now there is another type of bird that's white like this, which is a cattle egret. You don't see them in the water's edge. Oh, beautiful. Displaying. I think that was for us. So I'm not going to come and join you, don't worry. My teeth aren't that big. That's him showing off, making sure that I know my place, which I do, and I'm not going to try and take his water hole away from him. But yeah, you can tell the cattle egret, especially this time of year, they have a flash of orange on top of their head. That's the breeding plumage. And as I say, the cattle egrets you tend to find following the herds of animals like buffalo and cattle and elephants, and they sometimes sit on the backs of the elephants as well. But I don't know, we might be a little bit too far away, but when they lift the feet out of the water you might have noticed the yellow toes. And these little guys are quite cheeky. If he's going to come out of the water, you might see them. Might be a little bit too far away, unfortunately. Can you just about see them? Hold still. Yeah, I think they're just a little bit too far away. But they'll stand in the water and wiggle their toes so they look like worms to attract the fish. So they'll stand there wiggling their toes and wait for the food to come to them. Quite cheeky. But that's how you can tell the difference between a cattle egret and a little egret. So this is the little egret. Oh, and it sounds like we've got the Egyptian geese family who are on the opposite side of the bank. Looks like they've got some chicks who are quite old now. You can hear them just over there. So, actually, I remember, 3 years ago when there was a crocodile in here, the crocodile was picking off the Egyptian geese chicks one by one. So it's good to see that there is a family surviving here. And it looks like we've got a pair of woodlands kingfishers just in the trees and some more weaver bird nests. And of course the temperature is reducing quite nicely now. It's quite a nice afternoon temperature, and obviously the animals are taking full advantage of that now. Cool, should we head round to the hyenas? See if they're going to come out and play. And a very typical sound, I don't know if you were picking it up. It's going. That is the Cape turtle dove. Probably one of the first doves guides in training learn the call to, because it's so easy. It says, work harder, work harder. Or if you're on the other side, drink lager, drink lager. A very easy one to remember. And there they are, just in the middle of the road. Cape turtle doves. The hippo just behind us was, I think, displaying again. I couldn't quite see you because of the knob thorn behind us. But don't worry, we're going. We'll leave you in peace. Wow! See, this is a donga. This is a major donga. Amazing, the power of water, hey, absolutely amazing. So I think that was actually left over from the cyclone 2 years, no, it'd be 3 years ago, sure. Actually, it'd be quicker going this way. Oh, sorry, Louise. How's your grey lurry impression? Actually, seeing as we're going to the hyenas, would you like to give us a hyena impression?
No, let's hear yours first.
Oh, that's cheating. Oh, we've got some dwarf mongoose in front of us here. Oh, I'm so chuffed for seeing dwarf mongoose so much at the moment. It's brilliant. Come say hello. They're going to come out. There we go. they're such funny little creatures. Oh, another one running around the side of us. Obviously, with them being so small, they could potentially be food for anything much larger than themselves. Even their cousin, who is also diurnal, day-active animal, just like these guys, they're also day-active. So they're slender mongoose. But the slender mongoose actually lives by itself. It's a solitary mongoose. And it's probably about 3 times larger than the dwarf mongoose you're seeing on your screens. Quite ferret-like, long slender body with a long tail with a black tip on the end. But they have been known to hunt their smaller cousins. So safety number for those guys, living as a family. When they go and find the London termite man, there'll be a few within their territory, and they'll go one each night. Ah, there's a Frank. That's it, take your family all across the road. There we go. The male has a black cap, female has a brown cap, a very dark brown cap, so you do have to look at it quite nicely, but it looks like she's the last one coming across the road now. So slightly smaller than the Natal Franklin, who are sitting just up ahead in the road as well. And they've got quite an interesting call as well, and they say beer and cognac, beer and cognac. And that is actually a duet between the male and female, yeah. I was watching them at the corner of their eye. I don't know if you could actually see them, but just behind the bush, right next to us, the dwarf mongoose again. There's one just out in the open, just above him. A little bit more difficult to get him though. And it looks like the hornbill sentinels are with them, but they've just flown into the tree behind them. Makes you wonder how those animals start interacting with each other. What made the hornbill decide, you know what, I'm going to come and join you while you forage? Or the dwarf mongoose going, you know what, I quite enjoy your company while we're foraging. So yeah, so you're going to give us a, a hyena impression this afternoon?
I didn't even hear your other impression.
Well, I've been doing a hyena impression all afternoon with my laugh. I've been called a hyena on many occasions because of my laugh. But when they get excited, it is kind of a kind of thing, yes. But their normal contact call is a woo, woo. Ah. So come on, how's yours? That's cool. Hi, Lynn from Michigan. Welcome on board this afternoon. Great to have you with us. And Lynn wondering how difficult it is to learn the bird calls and what was the most difficult. I'm forever learning, to be honest. And there's some birds that I can hear and I know, and it's on the tip of my tongue because I haven't heard them for 3 years. But they'll come back to me. But I love mimicking animal calls. It's, as you've probably just already guessed, I do it quite a lot, and I'll do it without realising as well. I've always done it. I try and mimic the calls of the animals, and I think my favourite one is probably the go away bird. When I cracked that one, I was quite chuffed. But I'll be forever trying to whistle along and try and see if I can get the right tone and all that. But unfortunately, I'm by no means an expert. There's some guides out there who are brilliant. They've just got this fantastic whistle and they can mimic so well. But I still enjoy giving it a go. But to help me, there are the bird CDs. The Roberts Bird Encyclopedia is probably one of the most comprehensive. But when I was just starting out as a guide, and I say you try and put phrases to the bird calls to try and help you. I try and give you guys the phrases to the calls, so it helps you trying to remember them as well. And that makes it a lot easier to remember the bird calls. All these phrases. Just, I think with being guides, there's a lot of the drinks involved.
I think the Oriole's probably the hardest I've learned. Still can't quite get it. It's a very lick call. It's a beautiful call. Just has a number of layers to it, I think. Makes it very difficult to imitate.
So, hyena demos on the cut line. See if we can't catch up with that baby hyena. Oh, it was just too precious. Probably about a month old.
Probably about a month old.
Starling.
I can feel there's still a lot of moisture in the air. Oh, there we go. You're my mind. See, there's a lot of cloud building. So it's quite humid here in South Africa. But oh, it's a lovely temperature though. As a lot of you know, I do not like the cold. That's one of the reasons why I moved out here from the UK. Me and cold do not get on. Actually, me and Mark used to have a competition who could have the most clothes on drive, I think. Because he also couldn't get on with the cold very much. Where did time go? Time really flies the bush. Oh, we've got another hour and a quarter left. About half an hour. Press if he's calling. There we go. Ah. Come sing. So these are the chicks here, and the parents are just in the grass there. A bit of confusion going on there, I think. Not quite giving the proper call. Oh wow, these are joining in as well. Nice chorus. Even if it was a bit of a half-hearted one beginning. It'll get in the end. Thanks, Crested Franklins. There we go. I love the enthusiasm, chicks. Keep it. Oh, there's our jugger boy. Out of the water now. Oh, looks like it's got quite a niche there. Gotta feel sorry for boys. It's gotta be quite frustrating when you've got a niche and you just can't get it. Sure, that's the equivalent of having plaster cast over your arm and you just can't get to that scratch. It must just be behind the ear or just underneath the horn. He's just trying. You can see he's trying to get that horn right in there. No, I'm not going to come and scratch it for you, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Lois. Lois from New York. I wonder if it was you that was on Facebook this afternoon. So good to hear from you. Lois wants to know what made me decide to become a guide. It was to see animals in the wild. That was all my love. As far back as I can remember, it's always been about animals. I've always had a passion for animals. And I worked captive animals for a number of years. But it was understanding what doing out in the wild and observing out in the wild, that really just spoke to me, caught my attention. And I thought, well, how do I get out into the wild? And a colleague of mine had actually gone on a course about a month, and they taught you to become a guide in a month. I did all the tracking and everything. I think we can start heading down towards the hyena den while I continue the story. I hope this guy can solve his little ick problem. So I thought, well, I really like the sound of that, the course and learning how to track and, you know, being out in Africa. But I actually wanted to live out in Africa. I wanted to experience what life was like. More just a month felt like if it was a month, it was just visiting it. So I saw there was a guiding course for 6 months, and then 6 months they placed a lodge for work experience. And I thought, perfect, year autumn. I got on the plane thinking I was going to go back to the UK after this course. I got on the plane and my parents said, no, we knew you weren't coming back. Bless them, they were very supportive. But yeah, they didn't tell me this until a couple of years ago, and I'll say 9 years later, I'm still here in Africa. Absolutely love the fact that we to spend our lives in the bush, learning about animals, and as I say, actually making history to the knowledge of what is known about animals, plants and birds and insects on a daily basis. There is something new in the bush every day. You never know it all, and everybody knows different things. And that is what I love about it, constantly learning. Hello, babblers. Are you there? You there, little one? Yes, look, there it is. It is tiny yet. Just gonna pull a bit through. Hello, little one. Oh, and I think Mum's there as well. I was gonna say, I don't know why it didn't run straight back into the hole. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to dive around to the other side so we can hopefully get a nicer view of Mum and pup together. How precious is that, hey? Yes, we can see you. Oh, and there's another adult just down to the right there. I can see her. There she is lying down. Good afternoon, Jack from Virginia. Welcome on board. Great to hear from you. And I'm wanting to know if our lucky socks. Unfortunately, my dog ate my socks. Little Jack Russell. Socks were getting holes in them, so I gave them to him. I'm hoping I can see Mum there. I'm gonna see if we can't get a better view. But I think where she is at the moment, it's quite difficult to get another view from around the corner. There's baby settling down there. Let's see if we can roll back a little bit. The baby's settled. Nope. Okay, I'm just going to go around a little bit further and just see if we can't get a clear view from that side. So yeah, all my lucky socks are no longer there. My little Jackie belong to him now. I'll have to get some new ones. Oh, we might be lucky. See it through a little bit clearer. Hello, lady. Oh, she's got a notch on her right ear and a notch on the top of the left, so she should be fairly easy to recognise in future. So I think there was a little bit of a debate this morning as to whether the slightly older cub was the one that Hayden saw. But it's just a little bit too big for it to be Hayden's, because I think Hayden saw, and Peter I think saw one in October, November. I don't know if Hayden's was the same, but it was about the same size as the pup that we saw just now, which would be about a month old. And they do grow fairly quickly, not as quickly as herbivores do, but it certainly would be a lot larger than this little pup, but the other adult is just too big for it to be a 4-month-old cub as well. So I think this is a different mother, but I think the adult or sub-adult does belong to this mother, but probably about a 3-4-year-old. Okay, I think unfortunately we're not getting a great view of the little pup here. It looks like pup is resting. So now I'll come back to where we first started. But this morning we had a nice view where we just were. They've just moved over slightly, so we'll just try this just to get a nice view of you. But also I don't want to move around too much and disturb them too much. But that was very cool. You see, she didn't even lift up her head then.
to say it. I think this one is the sub-adult, or a sub-adult. When we saw them this morning, you couldn't really see now, but the older female, the fur isn't as thick as this individual. As you can see, it's still got quite thick fur on its body. And as they get older, that fur seems to thin out a little bit, and the adults seem to get paler with age as well. You can see the spots on this one nice and clearly. Don't worry, it's going to cool off a little bit now. I often wonder what it's like to have a body full of fur in this kind of heat. Can't be comfortable. And you can see the face is nice and clean as well, no notches in the ears, which also suggests it's a fairly young animal. As they get older, hyenas would have acquired some battle scars across the nose and on the ears, as you saw with the other female. Okay, so I think I will try and pull around to the other side where we got a better view of her with the pup, but I think I'm going to have to reverse because this little one's on the road, so we don't disturb it. Is there a place I can maybe just swing back into there?
I can do it right here, go for a little bit.
Okay, cool, let's try that then. Nice and stretched out. Actually, I've got a lot of branches in the way there. I can also just reverse all the way around. Try that. Just thinking, my sock excuse was like my homework excuse. Sorry sir, my dog ate the homework. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, I did acquire a dog after a year away from Wild Earth. So a little Jack Russell called Tucker. And he thinks he's Jock of the Bushveld, let's just put it that way. And he's won me against leopard on two occasions. Part of a lion until she comes up to the problem and runs behind me going, "Mum, you deal with it." Okay. I'll just keep going. See if we can get another view of this little pup, please. We have feet. Stay here just because the pup might just wake up again. Might just bounce on Mum.
just went to sleep just in the hole there.
But they're very happy, they're very chilled, so they don't feel threatened by us. But unless a herd of elephants comes through, or maybe other carnivores come through and threaten the pup, they might move on. But it's not really known how long they do utilise the same den for. It could be a couple of months, it could be several months. But I know they did utilise this den for probably a good 3 or 4 months before we left in 2011. So it's nice to see they are utilising it again. And judging by Sorry, there was a question coming through, I think from, was it Irene? Oh, Catherine. Catherine, welcome on board, Catherine. And saying in all the wildlife programs that you've seen, you've never seen hyenas drinking. Do they actually drink? And yes, they do. They do drink, but again, I suppose it's like a lot of other nocturnal creatures. You don't tend to see them drinking. They'll drink once the sun goes down. And obviously, a lot of the footage would have been caught during the day, when it's easier to film, and obviously you get the nice colours and everything. And unfortunately, that's where we've kind of got a bit of a wrong impression about some species because of the technology and the limitations of the filming. A lot of the time they couldn't film at night, and they couldn't get any decent footage at night until, I suppose, fairly recently with the technology advances. And that really opened up a whole new realm and understanding of animal behaviour as well. Like I was saying this morning, hyenas have this bad press that they're supposed to scavenge a lot from other animals, especially lions. And yes, they do scavenge, but they're also very good hunters in their own right. And what they found was that the videos that were being taken of the hyenas trying to scavenge from the lions, they missed maybe part of the story, the beginning story, where the hyenas actually made the kill, and the lions scavenged just as much from the hyenas in those certain areas. I think certainly up in the north of Africa, they were actually scavenging just as much, and the hyenas were actually trying to get their kill back, and that happened on several occasions apparently. So I think it's probably just because we've just never been at the right place at the right time to see hyenas drinking. I would say they will be active occasionally out during the day, especially if they're hungry, but usually they're like this. They wait out the heat, and once it cools off they'll start getting active and move off, and that's when the little one will go back in the den. It won't go out on the foraging excursions. The adult female will go off and look for food, and probably the sub-adult will go with her, or it might go off by itself. It is old enough, but it might go with her. So they might hunt together or on their own. And as I say, they will scavenge. We have seen on a number of occasions them stealing leopard kills if the leopards haven't got it in the tree fast enough. But I think they have had a bit of a bad press as well, unfortunately. But just before the question came through, I was just going to say, judging by what the cub was doing this morning, and the fact that it's on its own, suggests that it is possibly a female. The females may give birth to 2, sometimes 3 cubs, but the rivalry between especially the female cubs is extremely strong, and they quite often commit siblicide, where the one will kill the other, or at least stop them getting to the teats for milk, and the more dominant one will survive, and the subordinate quite often will suffer and die. And the fact that it's on its own, and it was quite boisterous playing around this morning tends to suggest it is most likely a little female. As I say, I was really hoping it might just make another appearance. Did we have a better view from the other side, do you think, of Mum? Is that the same? Yeah. Oh, there is a little bit of movement there. No, that's Mum, putting her head up. She's starting to get a little bit irritated by flies, so she might just move. Maybe we'll get a better view of her. If she moves, maybe Pup will move. I think actually it's Pup to the right. I keep seeing movement just in the bottom of the right of the screen. Yeah, down there. I haven't worked out who it is, if it is the Pup or not. Oh, yeah, I think it is. Is it just coming out from behind the bush? Let's see if I can roll back a bit. Nope. I'll just see if I can just move back slightly, because I think that is the Pup there. Here. Maybe I can swing around a little bit more. Oh. A lot of people say we should think of a nice name for the pup, so it'll be interesting to hear what you guys come up with. Let's see if we can have a few suggestions through and see which one fits it the best. As well. Yeah. Look at that face. Oh, just adorable. And if you're just joining us, welcome on board on our live safari here in South Africa. And we have a baby hyena who's probably about a month old, spotted hyena. And you might be wondering why it's black. They only develop the spots when they're about 4 months old, so that gives us a good time frame to work with. But there's a little hole, and that's where it's actually sitting above the hole at the moment. But they'll spend a lot of time there if the adult's not around the den. And they'll actually go and sit in the hole, and they excavate a small passage right at the back of the hole so they can go and hide, and that black will obviously help them to blend in with the black background as well, so it actually camouflages them from any predators that might be around. Now, it's actually gone up the mound, hasn't it? No, it's come back down again. There we go. Go and see Mum. Yeah, go on, jump on Mum and wake her up. Now we have had a number of positions just to try and get at the best view, but this seems to be the best at the moment. Hoping if they do move before the end of drive, we'll be able to see it nicely again. Come out and say hello to us.
You can tell this hyena den hasn't been active for a while because the vegetation is quite thick, and I don't know if you noticed, it looks like the baby's starting to bite the vegetation.
The vegetation just gets demolished. Oh, if it's getting a little bit more... Oh, hello. We're being watched behind us. Buffalo. And if it's moving... Yeah, come out and say hello. There we go. Oh, some name suggestions. The buffalo is actually just moving to our left here. I think that's what our hyenas are having a look at. So a few names. Theodora, after Teddy. Some of you might remember the last litter that we were following. And there was little Teddy that Sebastian named. I think a lot of people are saying Nala. That's quite fitting. I think there was a Simba there as well. And a Heidi. There was a Heidi there. There we go. I knew if we were patient enough we'd get to see it. Oh, there's jet black hay. That really is a very young pup. No, you can't go after buffalo. Yeah, this one's definitely going to be a character. So the temperature is dropping, baby's starting to get rested. I'm going to just try and move back where we were, because if it's starting to get a little bit more mobile, we might see it a little bit better. Oh, nice. Looks like the other.
Adult has woken up. Adult, and I think it could be her that's actually giving that low call again. Ooh. And it's this interaction which makes me think this is a past cub from the female. There you go, you can see the sloping back that I was telling you about earlier. The heavy front, and they've actually got one of the most powerful bites in the animal kingdom. There's wide cheekbones and the very pointed head actually allows them to have that enormous bite power. And remember, they are the caretakers of the bush. They will take bone, and they're able to crunch bone that even lions aren't able to eat. Gonna come and say hello, little one? So I think the general consensus is Nala, unless anybody has any other suggestions. But it'd be quite fitting for this little one. It's very, very cute. Yeah, okay, so there's a Sabrina as well, maybe after Sebastian. And Theodora again. Or Dora for short. After Dora the Explorer.
Little Theodora sounds quite cute as well. I think it's up against Theodora and Nala. See if there's a consensus there. But actually, she does look like a Dora to me.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end the day watching a family of hyenas with such an adorable little baby, which I'm sure I'll have a name for her very soon. But thank you very much for watching here on Wild Earth and being part of a live safari. I am just so excited to have been able to share this with you, and I really hope you have enjoyed it this afternoon. And I hope this weather is going to stay with us. I hope it's not going to be too miserable tomorrow. Hopefully these clouds burst, have the rain tonight, or they're having a nice sunny day tomorrow. But thank you very much for joining us here. From myself and from Brian and the sub. It's in final control, thank you very much. And thanks for all your questions, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye now.